What our policy here is at the same time, actually all of our specimens, understated themselves, tell us what they want to know, we'll find out the rest later. So I'll just step aside and let that happen.
Welcome. It certainly has been a valuable and enjoyable conference. I hope you all have enjoyed it as much as I have. My name is Michael Shaw. A little bit of background of myself. I graduated from college in 1971 and then went to the same school, Santa Clara, law school. I became a CPA following that. After practicing for a little while, I formed a self-storage development firm. We developed projects in 5 states and ran them for several decades. And now primarily sold, although I still own one on Castro Valley, which is in the Bay Area, on 580. And last year, we constructed 3 giant billboards. Billboards on the 580 freeway. It's taken us federal action, federal court action in order to get those in, and they deliver messages, 6 messages on each side about one Bay Area, which I'll describe in my talk as we move along. I live in Santa Cruz, California. I have 5 daughters, and I worry about the future of California. In my talk, I'm going to talk about 3 C's. I'm going to talk about the American condition, the American circumstance, and the American challenge. The American condition. There is amongst us a quiet local drive for globalization. It began with the federal government in 1992 with George Bush signing the United Nations Agenda 21 Pact when he was at a conference in Rio de Janeiro. The following year, President Bill Clinton infused every federal agency with a primary duty, and that was the implementation of Agenda 21. The process has continued since then with every president, Democrat or Republican, without abatement. Today, Agenda 21 is firmly entrenched in every state government in the Union. You cannot move anywhere in the United States without Agenda 21 being the official policy of state government. And it is now in every local community. I'll give a good description of that when I describe the Bay Area in a few minutes. Agenda 21, as I think most of you know, is the effort to control how and where people live. That's called euphemistically smart growth. And every town brags about its smart growth policies. And that's the policy to put us in these urban centers and stack and pack buildings without automobiles. You say, what? Well, that is happening. In Chicago, the slums are being taken down, mid-rise buildings are being constructed, they have no parking lots, they have no garages. In the Bay Area, El Camino Real, which is a major thoroughfare between San Jose and San Francisco, is to be converted, not allowing any private cars, public transportation only. As that forum is going to be rebuilt with stack and pack housing interspersed by major employers, so people can ride their bike to work or even walk to work. And that's the plan, not just for the Bay Area, but for the entire country. Smart growth and sustainable development, or Agenda 21, sustainable development and Agenda 21 are interchangeable terms, is designed for the whole country. And ultimately, there's to be 11 mega regions in the country where all the people, all 66 million of us, that's what America 2050 has, 66 million people will congregate in these 11 primary mega cities. So what do you get 66 million for? They're anticipating, they're planning a population reduction. People who survive that reduction or live in these urban centers called megacities. Agenda 21 is about the collectivization of property, of all property. Its goal is to create massive wildlands across the United States, wildlands where people will not be allowed to enter. That's why Montana is under massive attack. There is not one of those 11 metropolitan areas located in Montana. There are 3 in California. It's designed to limit sustainable development. Agenda 21 is designed to limit a person's movement. If you want to know details about sustainable development, I would invite you to our website called Freedom 21. We built this website in the year 2000 and worked it heavily in about 2013. And there you'll find all the basis, backgrounds, policies, and philosophies that drive the Sustainable Development Agenda 21 program. This is the program that has reshaped America. It is why Americans are unhappy with their government. It is why Americans are unhappy with the state of politics in this country. It is because our politics is being driven by the principles of sustainable development. And if the public doesn't know what sustainable development is, the public is at a tremendous loss. It is globalization, the creation of the international Agenda 21 policies, for which we are challenged. I want to give an example of the implementation of Agenda 21. There aren't many people here from the San Francisco Bay Area. I think other than myself, Debbie Bacigalupi, there was one couple from San Jose, from the Bay Area. There's someone there from the Bay Area. That's good. Well, people in the Bay Area need to know, and yet I'll imagine that probably 98, 99% of the people living in the Bay Area do not know about One Bay Area or Planned Bay Area. And that's amazing because every city councilman or woman, every member of the Board of Supervisors in the 9 counties in the San Francisco Bay Area do know about it. Because there is an organization called ABAG that has a new plan for the rearrangement of the San Francisco Bay Area. How many people have heard of COGS, Councils of Government? Good. For those who haven't, councils of government are organizations that oversee local governments. The public does not know about COGS. Much higher percentage of people up here who know about them than in the public. But COGS are in every area, every inch of ground in America, other than some government properties in the state of Montana, actually. But aside from that, everywhere is within a COG. In the San Francisco Bay Area, the COG is called ABAG, the Association of Bay Area Governments. Now, ABAG consists of various individuals. Primarily, it consists of elected officials, city government and county government. They never advertise as the members of ABAG. They just make the votes that make these things happen. Every member of the city council, every member of the board of supervisors knows about ABAG, and they do what ABAG tells them. Well, here's what ABAG, as a model for the rest of the country, is telling the 9 counties and 100 cities in the Bay Area. This program, by the way, is coming next to Los Angeles. The SCAG organization, the call here there is called SCAG, Southern California Area Governments. And next to the San Diego area, the Sandbag organization, which includes Tijuana. Let's see, the New World Order has no regard for national boundaries. So ABAG is unelected and unaccountable for, too. Nobody knows it exists, and yet it has a plan that expends $300 billion for the remake of the San Francisco Bay Area. Well, how are they going to remake the San Francisco Bay Area? Well, it calls for priority development areas. A priority development area is an urban area with a transit center, train, buses, etc. Not cars. And within a half mile of those transit areas, which are beginning to be built all around the Bay Area, is to include 80% of all development within the next 40 years. That's 4% of the land mass in the Bay Area, which will accommodate 80% of the growth so that people can use public transportation. So the key element of the COG program, a key element, is to get people out of their automobiles. You're Agenda 21. It's to get people in stack and pack buildings so that they can be easily monitored and controlled. ABAG is the first and perfected plan in the United States undertaken by a COG for the implementation of this program. A little bit more about COGs. Where do COGs come from and what are they? Well, COGs were developed in 1958 by Dwight Eisenhower. The purpose then was for the construction of the interstate highway. Well, the federal government had no responsibility, no authority to construct an interstate highway system. So they created this system of COGs so that it could be localized in terms of the implementation of their freeway program. But that has expanded and expanded over the decades to where it is now, remaking our cities and creating a new world. They came to California under Ronald Reagan. Reagan brought COGs in California, and the state hasn't been the same since. And we're now going to, beginning now, feel the effects of COGs as they completely rearrange the nature of local government. We go from elected officials and city councils and board of supervisors to shifting the power to an unelected, unaccountable form of government, a Soviet system called COGs. It will forever change America if things proceed as they are now being planned. It is the destruction of free enterprise and private property. The goal of One Bay Area is a rising city-state with a UN seat in the offing. We're going to play a video from a conference we put on a year ago in San Francisco called The Globalization of California. And what I'm going to show is some snippets of a speech made at Joint Venture Silicon Valley, a globalist NGO that is comprised of high-end participants. It's a very expensive conference to attend. The major corporations of Silicon Valley are major players in this organization, and they brought in a futurist as their keynote speaker who delivered the following comments about One Bay Area.
I'm going to show you something from last year's Joint Venture Silicon Valley Conference, which was held on the peninsula in February of last year. Their keynote speaker was a man named Paul Sacco, who's a consulting associate professor at Stanford University and a board member of the Bay Area Economic Institute, which is a subsidiary of the Bay Area Council, the regional that I just showed you in the last board. He's speaking on the future. He calls himself a futurist, and I don't know what you do to call yourself a futurist, but this futurist talks about regionalizing the Bay Area. We saw a snip from him earlier. I just want to show pieces of his talk once again.
The real nexus of power in this century is moving from nation states to city states. California, the Bay Area is a good example. City-states, both de facto, de jure, legally recognized city-states with seats at the United Nations like Singapore, and also de facto city-states, powerful regions are the new basic unit of governance in the 21st century. They are, to this century, what the nation-state was to the last. City-states are the powerful nexus of economy, commerce, culture, and identity. So what about our Bay Area? Well, I think we actually already are a city-state. We just need to acknowledge it. But with that in mind, note that nations don't disappear. And they're not going to disappear in this century replaced by city-states. But now regions and city-states in particular will hold the power. We're a city-state, we should act like it. We need to go a step further and say it's time to start thinking about boundary drops between counties. Why should you only be thinking about mergers between cities in the same county? And of course, we need to merge cities. We have too many cities in the Bay Area. We talk about the Bay Area as 9 counties. I think that's too small. It turns out that city-states derive their power from the hinterland they're associated with. Hong Kong's power comes from being at the bottom of the Pearl River Delta. Singapore is at the mouth of the Straits of Malacca. A big part, Silicon Valley isn't this thing dropped here by an alien spacecraft that has no relations with the people over the hill. They're very much part of our economy. Look at this map. Why don't we include Santa Cruz as part of the Bay Area? No. What about San Joaquin Valley? I mean, the people who work in Silicon Valley, they sleep there. For heaven's sake, we should think about expanding this notion of what the Bay Area city-state looks like. This image is a reminder that in a world where we shift from nation-state to city-state, and the power shifts going on, the border simply does not want to exist. The new order is not about shifting boundaries. It's about dissolving boundaries. One thing I can tell you with certainty, Tijuana does not want to become American, and San Diego does not want to become Mexican. Rather, they just want to be one region undistracted by national governments and people who are interfering with economic growth, educational opportunity, and social progress. The same things that we want to.
I've used the term Soviet several times in this conversation.
Well, that was Paul Sappho. That was a very distinguished audience he was speaking to, high-end people from Silicon Valley. And those who think they want to live in the Bay Area need to give a second thought to what floor they will live on the 22nd or 32nd floor of the high-rise when they get on the public transit to get to wherever they want to go, or I should say, wherever public transit wants you to go. Now, we have at Freedom Advocates a lawsuit against ABAG. It's currently pending before the courts over ABAG. That suit is funded and chronicled at globalizationofcalifornia.com. And so anybody who wants to review that lawsuit, particularly from Los Angeles or San Diego, is to get ready for your own assault. I invite you to do that. I can tell you that we lost a trial. No surprise there. Most of these state court judges are. You couldn't hire better military guys to just do what the forces above them tell them to do. And Jerry Brown, of course, is a giant fan of Sustainable Development Agenda 21. As a regular speaker at UN conferences on this subject. And so we lost at trial. We're now in appeal. We know it's going to end up with one or both Supreme Courts. And so we will look for anybody who comes to Globalization California. We'd like you to consider contributing to that further litigation appeal that we make. Now, LA and San Diego, as I said, are the next to be clogged with this new system of government. People in those two areas need to wake up, or they're going to fall into the trap the Bay Area is in. And the unfortunate part is if you talk to a Bay Area person about what I just told you, they'll have no idea. All of our newspapers are owned by the same hedge fund in Chicago. They all report the same news, and none of them has ever reported about one Bay Area. Nobody even knows COGS exist. We're being duped. We're being duped the hardest in the San Francisco Bay Area. I would recommend anyone interested, in fact, I have some copies if someone wants to acquire them, of our conference. We held Treasure Island in San Francisco last year on the One Bay Area subject, 3 DVDs, and all a one-day conference. Debbie Bacigalupi, myself, Rosa Corey, Pat Wood, and Heather Goss were the speakers. We had 3 elected officials, one from Southern California, one from Central California, and one from the Bay Area, who also spoke. And so it's a wonderful accumulation of circumstances and facts that can help every American understand what's coming their way. You know, the COGS don't just exist in California. This plan for globalization, in the way I've described the Bay Area, is not just set for California. This is a national assault that will be firmly embedded in California, because as California goes, so goes the rest of the country. So people need to watch what's happening here, because it's coming to you wherever you are. Now, the American circumstance. We're facing an emerged world political economic order that seeks to change humanity while advancing new concepts to include, 1, the nature of money. Consider Jim Rickards' book, The Death of Money, or Pat Wood's even more disturbing, Technocracy Rising. I have a few copies of this if people who are interested. Technocracy Rising describes scientific dictatorship that Wood so eloquently weaves in and shows how an idea that emerged in America in the 1930s called technocracy has reemerged. People like Kaczynski further this in his book, Between Two Tectonic Eras. He talks about technocracy. Technocracy is the idea that scientific dictatorship takes over and that money gets converted into electrical credits, energy credits that people are entitled to for 30 days. You do what the man wants you to do for 30 days, you can still live. You get your energy credits to trade for a place to live and for food, etc. And if you don't do what they want you to do, you don't get your month's allocation of energy credits. It's a scary world. But we all know the monetary system we have today isn't going to last, maybe not much longer. But the second circumstance is the changing meaning of national boundaries. We saw an example of it here, but we certainly all know and we all recognize for our day-to-day life how it is that national boundaries are weakening. They're gone in Europe, and in North America, it does not seem that the boundary between Mexico and the United States has much effect anymore. And the third element that I point to is America's abandonment of the political recognition of natural law. That's the basis of the founding of America, was a belief in natural law, a law from a higher power that supersedes what man can make in Washington, D.C. And today, courts, the public, academia have no regard, no understanding of natural law. If we cannot resume our understanding of that concept, we have no chance to revitalize America. Because that's what America was. The idea that an individual has the right and the opportunity to a life of his own, Today, you got a big code you got to follow. Regulations are even thicker. All brought to us by the man in the legislature. So consider the state of the crumbling paper currencies, beginning with the US dollar, the rise of multinational trade pacts. TPP must be rejected. Specific maps of American southern borders, just who is crossing, what risks does that bring upon us? And the unabating and accelerating attack on private property, including smart growth living. Imagine, Cold War is looming. Global governance is the goal of those who seek war. There's a need for American objectivity. We need new politicians. We need them now. The American challenge is to restore the principles of the Declaration of Independence. It is to restore the concept of individualism in this country. It is to corral collectivism. This is a monumental challenge. Most of our present leaders are inept or worse. Now is the time. The primary battle is local. Some towns are already lost. The question is, what can you do? It's time for real Americans to take over City Hall and county boards of supervisors. Freedom cannot wait much longer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dan, are you there?
I am there. Dan will introduce himself, but he'll answer the question, what you can do if you know the right people. If I can find my notes, to be my age, you have to depend on certain things, one of which is notes. My name is Dan Blackburn. For the purposes of this event, I'm the co-founder of a news website here in the Central Valley, Central Coast, called calcoastnews.com. Our website was created for the express purpose of trying to deal with important civic issues that weren't being dealt with by the local media. And that's a rather large problem these days, because most of us get our news from local media. And if local media isn't doing its job, there's very little opportunity for people to have much control over local government. I started in the news business 53 years ago. Apart from about 7 years when I worked in California's water industry, I have been a reporter for that period of time. And during that time, I've seen some major transitions in the business that I chose to involve with. Originally, when I entered the business, there was no such thing as the media. It was the press. In fact, I remember during the period of my first job with the Sacramento Union, which is a now defunct newspaper, we used to sit around and laugh at the concept of television news, because it seemed to be such an oxymoron. The idea that people could have anything to do with genuine news in a 1 or 2 minute clip on television. So I've been through a rather interesting transition in the business, and I'm here to say that I'm not really sure if where we are today is a better situation or a worse situation than we've had, say,
34 years ago. There was a time, some of you may recall, when there were a number of journalists in America who were well respected. Much of what they said was believed, for better or for worse. But there was kind of a general consensus that the media was doing its best to tell the truth and to present the facts. That's changed radically, as you all know. We are into a different type of news gathering, news presentation, news consumption than we've been in. In fact, a lot of this has taken place over the last 5 years, even 10 years for sure. During my career, I reported for conservative newspapers, a libertarian newspaper, and a couple of liberal newspapers. And over that period of time, up until the last number of years, I have found that, generally speaking, newspapers, you might find this hard to believe, did actually try to present a fair and balanced version of what was happening without regard to the editorial policy of a particular publication. That's changing considerably. I had an opportunity when I was working for the Orange County Register to go to Sacramento as their bureau chief. So I covered California politics for quite a number of years. And during that period of time, I learned that there's very little difference between Republicans and Democrats if you are a professional politician, because they all have basically one objective, and that's the furtherance of their own careers. There are some politicians who are different. I once worked for one for 2 years. He was the Senate Pro Tem, California State Senate. And he was a man who disliked the political process and disliked raising money for his caucus. And as a result, he only lasted about 2 years as leader of the Senate. But he was an honest man, and I was able to see up close the contrast between a politician who really had the people's interests at heart and the many, many, many of them who did not. Some of you might not know this. I don't know if it's mentioned today because I wasn't here earlier, but my talk today is apparently rather controversial in some circles. In fact, the talks that the others of you have given and the very conference that you're now at became a subject of discussion during the last couple of weeks by a Democratic supervisor named Adam Hill. Adam has a web page, a Facebook page called Team Adam Hill. And about a week ago, he ran a copy of the program of this event on his Facebook page. And he labeled the speakers, all of us, as purveyors of fantasy and conspiracy and hate. We are purveyors of hatred. Now, I can tell you personally, the reason Adam Hill thinks that I'm a purveyor of hatred is that we've held nothing back in our reporting of his nefarious financial arrangements and his high degree of civic corruption. But I thought you'd all be interested to know that you are controversial, even as you sit here. And my associate, Karen Bewley, got 14 emails and she said 12 phone calls complaining about my appearing before this group today. Karen's reaction, of course, is that we are a balanced news agency and we are willing to talk to anybody. But quite frankly, I find your views to be quite appropriate and quite legitimate. One of my adult sons is very much into some of the same concepts that he has brought me along a long ways over the last few years as to some of the realities of life. I thought I had a pretty good handle on it at one point. What was real, what was not. My eyes have been open. I came from a gentler time of journalism, I like to call it. There was a time when journalists, reporters, even if they were working for competing entities, all had basically a common objective. And that was, again, sounds trite, but report the news if they're not known. The advent of technology these days has made it possible basically for every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Dan, I guess, to be a journalist, to type out a few things on a computer, interview buttons, and send a message worldwide instantly. I think William Hurst could have done with that technology. The evolution of the media has gone from where it was when I began, which was the big gloss presses running out the material with the production people, the linotype operators, all of the crew that put together the pages, the length pages of the newspaper. I went through that era. I saw the linotype operators. I saw the interaction between the production and the editorial staffs, which was quite often very entertaining. But the change has evolved over the years to the point where we are now essentially, I would say, the victims or the recipients of instantaneous information. Whereas at one time we used to say that it was incumbent upon people to read both of the daily newspapers, if it's out happened to be a two-city newspaper, to read everything you could, believe some of it perhaps, but make your own decision based on the amount of information that you're able to gather. Today that assignment would be almost overwhelming. There's such a wealth of information on every subject that you almost have to have your own opinions going into your research before you get to the point where you're able to understand and comprehend what you're reading. I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of years thinking about where the newspaper business is going. And while it's probably pretty certain that in a number of years we won't really have the newspaper to hold in our hand like we have always had, I do think there will be some form of predominant media that will evolve into the number one type of information transmission. It may be through the internet, it may be through some technology that none of us have a clue about right now, but it is a fact that there will be a main news source at some point, just as there is today in terms of newspapers, news magazines, and then of course television news. No one knows where this future is of media is going, but it has, on a more local level, given some great opportunities to all of us. There was a time when, if you wanted to make an impact on your community, you would sit down at the desk and laboriously write out a letter to the editor, put it in an envelope, send it off, and then hope that one of these days the editor might see fit to publish your letter in the letter section. Today, of course, you've all probably seen websites, maybe like ours, where a reader can respond instantly to something he or she has read. And quite frankly, that was very disconcerting to me at one point, because I used to only get complaints through my editor, and often he wouldn't bother to tell me what the complaints were. But now, and recently, you open up your email and there's 37 complaints and perhaps one word of praise. But again, everything is happening very instantaneously. But where it can be beneficial to each of you is this. There are forms of communication about which I know Facebook, Twitter, and 3 or 4 others. It may behoove you to find out a little bit about these because they are about as convenient as picking up your telephone and calling a friend and discussing an issue with them. It's a means of transmitting information that you want out to a variety of people. It's not unheard of for people to spend $20 or so to put together a website page to illustrate their viewpoints. More and more opportunities to involve yourselves in civic activities Yet fewer and fewer people, I think, are actually doing so. And that's probably due to some sort of notion that they can't really be effective. But we cite a little incident that happened here during the last year in this county. There was an occurrence in Orlando that involved the city manager and one of his employees, where they were discovered in the city manager's office and had been there after cocktails. So there was quite a scandal about this. The Tribune, which is the daily newspaper, didn't report on it for weeks and weeks. We started to report on it. The end result was that Orono Grande, being a fairly small community, the reporting that we were doing was angering a small group of people, 3 or 4 people who went to city council's meetings on a regular basis. They did exactly what's been discussed here already today. They each talked to a friend, they talked about what the problem was. They all decided that the primary problem in their town was their mayor. A man named Tony Ferrara. Tony had been either a city councilman or a mayor in a small little community of Orlando for 15 years. Tony didn't take any duff from anybody. He was the man. He was also scheduled to become president of the League of California Cities, which is probably the strongest municipal lobbying operation in the state of California. Very prestigious stuff. He would have been poised to travel first class to Washington, D.C., and see his legislators, go to conferences all over the country, do a lot of things. A small group of people began using the social media that I've been discussing, and they slowly began to raise a larger and larger core group of people. They sat down, they formalized their plan, and almost overnight, throughout the entire community, these green signs went up in people's yards that said, elect the next on a write-in basis. This was 5 weeks before the election. At that point, no other candidates had said that they were going to run. So a man named Jim Hill, who was on a couple of boards and was well respected, a very quiet fellow, was approached to do a write-in candidacy. Long story short, he won by 2-1 over Tony Ferrara, who at that time was probably the most powerful small town mayor in the state of California. It was a group of people who started with 1, 2, 3 people and grew to where the entire community in the space of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, knew exactly what the issue was and thought they knew what the solution was. And on election night, they pulled it off. San Francisco Chronicle called it, and the LA Times too, called it one of the most amazing local and small town elections they've ever seen. And the results have been extremely positive. What it did was to bring the community back together, except for folks who've been tossed out of color. And it had a real beneficial impact on the attitude of people in terms of their civic responsibility and their ability to involve themselves in an effective way. I will leave you with the thought that despite the fact that it may seem that you can't do anything, you really can. Again, I endorse and suggest that you involve yourself somewhat with the new social media, because I'm coming around. It's quite early. On our website, for example, we'll post a story, and our technician will put it out on Twitter, and readership will go up 2 or 3 times within just minutes. It's really remarkable. We have about 35,000 unique visits a day on our site. We topped 700,000 views a month 2 months ago. Our numbers compare with the daily newspaper, the Tribune, which is the flagship newspaper. And quite surprising to us, we are becoming one of the predominant voices in the county. And there's only one reason for that. That two people, Karen Neely, who's the publisher of the site, and me and myself, thought that there was something we could do. So for 2 years, we fired news out into a vacuum. We had no idea if people were reading us. We got a few responses, word spread. We've been around for 8 years right now. Still 2.5 of us doing the daily job. But again, to me, it's proof that if one gets involved in a focused way, the world is your oyster. Do it. Talk about it. Do it. I have a terrible weekend here, and I apologize for the speakers who are up now. I do have to leave, but again, thank you very much for the opportunity. Okay. Dan is left the room now. I wanted to say that when I came first to this county, I've been here about 4 years now. I didn't know anything about anything like my workplace. And I decided to somewhat follow the formula that he was describing, where you get together with 100 or 200 people and you decide what you're going to do. And he formed a circle of people here. And Jason right here is one of them. We had a little circle of 3 people, and out of that came up tremendous wellspring of activity and action. A newsletter called Need to Know in San Luis Obispo County, and found out that the great issue here locally, and that is a theme that we should be attending to tonight or tomorrow, is the importance of selecting the right issue. If you're going to get people to support you, who don't know what you're doing, maybe they're not the ideologue that you wish that they were, but you have to find an issue that really is important, a real genuine issue, not just make it fun. And see if you can generate some support. Well, we walk right into the water issue, for example. And what I want to say about Dan is that I love to pamphlet someone like this on the water issue. I call it water sharks. A water shark attack. And and because I was doing research on it, and who had written about this issue. That's how we got together. So basically, once you get out there and start doing things, involving in other people, your circle grows really, really fast. But you got to get out of your house, get out of the couch, and get out there. Okay, we're back, and now it's time to have Randy come forth and finish some of what he was telling us before.
My name is Randall Nochi from the suburb of Montana, and I represent House District 19, which is about the middle of the state. I'm married 21 years. I have 3 girls, 2 of which are here tonight. Isabella Pinocchi and Alexander Pinocchi are going to be helping with some handouts. Been listening to people for the last couple of days, And for the last 3 or 4 months, I've been trying to recruit a couple of candidates to run against some undesirable representatives. And I've been able to recruit 2. Today, I look at this room and I ask myself why I wouldn't recruit every single one of you running for office. And I want you to think for the next 20 or 30 minutes, that's exactly what you're going to do. I want you to decide what office you're running for. Maybe you've got something in mind because of an individual that hasn't done what you would like. Maybe you're thinking of running because you can do a better job than the individual. Maybe there's some issues. So I want every single one to commit to running in the next 20 minutes. And I'm going to show you some ideas. I'm going to share some things with you that happened to me. I want to prepare you if you were to run. Like many of you, I was tired fighting City Hall, so I wanted to take it over with my team. So before you file, I'm going to tell you, well, there's a lot of work you can do. I've listened to what some people have said. Some of it I agree with, some of it I think can be improved. But as you think about the race you're going to run, I'm going to have you take a look at this little handout here. We're going to hand this out first. We're going to come up with some issues that are picked carefully based on what you're passionate about and what your opponent has been failing to do. All right? Now, Agenda 21 can be looked at as property rights. My opponent that I ran against was the most anti-gun Republican in the House. He was the 3rd highest spender. So before I committed to run, I went to the NRA and I said, look, he's anti-gun. I want your endorsement. They said, by God, we want someone to run against this guy. And I said, okay, before I do, am I going to get an A and is he going to get an F? Because I don't want to run and find out he gets a B and I get an A. I need a difference. I want you to commit to giving me a reason to tell people they need to vote. Well, I didn't give them an F. They said we say that to people who introduce anti-gun legislation. But we'll give them a D. But I worked this out before I filed. I was already working on the design of my sign. It would be unfortunate if I printed my signs after I printed them and found out I was endorsed by the NRA and I couldn't put it on the sign. Very few signs have a phone number or an email address and how to contact the candidate. In fact, I'm the person I know of in my area that's ever done that. Well, the printer, if he wants to print the backside of the sign, it says there's no charge, really not much price difference if you were to do a different sign on the backside. Well, let's take a look at what else we might say based on Agenda 21 being a problem. The only sign I've ever seen that said property rights on it. A lot of people were excited to hear about that, which brought me to the conversation of Agenda 21. I couldn't tell you how many property rights violations are mixed with Agenda 21. It's unbelievable. We need to identify who votes in the primary. Remember, each one of you are committing to run. Those are the decision makers. So where do you find that list? Well, the Republican Party may have it available for you. And you want to knock on those doors first. Get their support, get your sign up there. We've identified some issues that make you different from your opponent. Right? So now we explain it to them. One of the biggest surprises I came across was how many homes I went to where a person said, I don't know. I couldn't tell you who the governor is in Montana. I don't know what you do. But I was prepared. I was able to say, all right, here's a voter registration card, and here's some issues you should be concerned about. Many of them heard Agenda 21 for the first time, and they didn't know whether to believe me or not, but they did believe that I was passionate, and I cared, and they said, you know what, sir, put a sign up there, and I'm not sure I'm going to vote. But you're darn right to put a sign up. My daughters and I reached over 2,000 homes. Our goal is to have more signs up than any campaign. The goal we met, we had more signs up than all the Republican candidates running in my district added together. Because people were able to relate that I care. And that's what you need to understand. You can only be qualified because you're here. I heard somebody say, all politicians are the same, Republican and Democrats no different. Let me tell you something. In Montana, there were 20 legislators that didn't compromise on anything. They did exactly what they said. I'd like you to pass out girls the book on all the representatives and senators in Montana. I don't have enough for everybody, but I have enough for on the table. I'd like you to turn to page 41. On page 41 is a representative named Matthew Montfort. He scored higher than I did on being a conservative. He was absolutely no compromise. Matthew and I, 100% rating from pro-life. He's not going to run again. It's just difficult. Want to stay in office? What, $3,000 a year when I pay $500 to dry clean, and I'm attacked and I have blogs telling lies? You think that won't happen to you? Let's pass out the blood-splattered card. I have not enough for everybody, but you're all going to have a chance to see it. So they sent a mailing out on me and said I supported legislation to give criminals their handgun rights back. Covered with blood. What was amazing is the NRA, the Gun Owners of America, and the Montana Shooting Sports Association wrote a report. You're going to get a copy of the card. It's being passed out now. And it said not only did I not vote for it, but I wasn't even in office to vote for it, and my opponent actually did. Okay? Pretty desperate. Now, the guy I ran against, we actually found someone to run against him. His name was Eric. Eric said, I'm going to step up to the plate. I'm going to run against this guy who's been in office for 17 years. He's the most anti-gun representative in Montana. He's the third highest spender, and I'm going to run him. So the next day he filed, and Eric got a phone call from a legislator from eastern Montana that said, you know, Eric, what you're doing is guaranteeing that one Republican is going to lose, and that's such a tragedy. We have seats that no Republican running in at all. We want you to drop your race against this individual and run in this open seat, and we're going to give you money. We're going to go door to door for you. We're going to send out mailings to support you. But if you run this primary against this man who's been in office for 17 years, we're going to send money against you and you're going to lose. Well, I heard somebody speak here about how to win a war without fighting. And we were very good at that. So Eric dropped out. Do you think he got that support to run out of the race? Do you think they gave him money or did a direct mailing or went door to door? They never called him again. And of course, he's embarrassed because he feels he let us all down, and he did. So the next time I filed against him, but I was there. I said, I'm going to run this race, and they called me because his voting record is not acceptable, because he's anti-gun. He's voted for property rate increases. He supports Agenda 21. He attended an Agenda 21 convention in Florida. People from Florida called me. And then when he came back, after committing to supporting Agenda 21, in Great Falls told the press that he did not support. That's what we're up against. I look among you and ask, why are you not running? And you know what? Matthew Montfort on page 41, a perfect score in my book, is leading. He did everything you in this room want him to do, but yet people from Montana can't even identify us as a perfect record or near it. So why wouldn't we? So I need people like you to replace them. And I would like groups like you to start endorsing and identifying those representatives that are doing exactly what you want. And I'm here to tell you, if you don't do that, in a way, you're letting them down. Because it's just not worth it. People you depend on to support you don't. And that's why they're walking away. Because we're being attacked. So I went down to the Cascade County Central Committee to hang my sign up because I'm running for office. But my opponent, Roger Hagan, was the Central Committee chairperson. He wasn't there. The office lady says, Randy, go get your sign put up. 100,000 vehicles a day drive in front of that building. A week later, my sign wasn't up. I went in to ask why, and they said, what sign? I gave another one. Gave them 100 handouts. Came back in 2 days, my sign wasn't up. They flat told me, we're not going to put your sign up. Can I have my sign back? What sign? Can I have my handouts? You didn't leave any handouts. Okay. I was discouraged, but I knew what was most important, going door to door. I put what was going on with the blood splattered car aside. I put what was going on with the Central Committee aside, and I hit the doors. That is the most important thing to do, and you show a difference between your opponent and yourself, and then let the people decide. Pick the issues that you think they're passionate about and focus on that. Show that you have a fire in your belly and a passion in your heart to serve the people want you to live like. We will. We won by 65%. One of my supporters went back to the Central Committee office and said, now we're going to put the Pinochet sign up. And they said no. The next meeting, there were so many people that were there outraged with Roger Hagan, and now they were going to remove him. Now that he lost the primary, now they want him to be removed as the chairperson of the Central Committee. He refused. He said that their votes didn't count because they don't normally come to the meetings. We had to wait another month. And hundreds of supporters worked with the state Republican Party of Montana to say, how do we get rid of the last county chairperson? And they were told how to do it. Not only did they replace him, but the entire Central Committee. And now we have Tea Party people, John Birch Society people, and we have people that are in the middle of the road. We have a mix of everyone. And now we have two candidates running against undesirable Republicans to try to replace them. So now I have to talk about what the most difficult thing is, and that is to ask for money. Because you're going to have to. Direct mailings, maybe radio, printing of your signs. My next talk, I'm going to talk about how to save money on direct mailing, how to save money on postage, where I'll show you ideas to cut your postage in half. And some of you should say that's impossible. No, it's not. And I'm going to share how to cut your printing costs down. And I've been a printer for over 30 years. Now, you need to support these candidates who are passionate about your issues. I don't care if they're out of state or if they're in Canada or if they're in Africa. And I'm looking at my Canadian friends here. I need you to run in Canada on these values. And we need to support the whole team wherever they are in the world, because Agenda 21 is worldwide. It's not just the United States. And I believe that people and landowners in other countries are as passionate about their property rights as we are. So if you're prepared for the dishonesty, you're going to handle it much better. Complaining to your friends and relatives that live out of state is a waste of time. You have a good answer, like we prepared on a blood splattered card. When the press asked me, I was able to say, here's the report from the NRA, Montana Shooting Sports Association. They're blaming me for what my opponent actually did. Okay? Well, two candidates, only one will protect the safety of your rights. This is my opponent. The first one, keep guns out of schools. My opponent supported that. Apparently, I don't want guns in schools. Guns out of banks. Apparently, he wants guns out of banks. No, I want guns in banks. Keep guns out of bars. Apparently, he did, and I did. This one's bizarre. Keep guns out of mental hospitals. I can't make this up. So I want you to pass this around. Now, there was some truth to some of that. I'm going to explain how things can get twisted. So I supported college students to have a concealed carry permit. After all, they're over the age of 18, and I think they should be able to have a gun in the dorm room if they have a concealed carry permit. It's their right. And on top of that, of the 30,000 concealed carry permits issued in Montana, not one has committed a felony ever. Check with the ATF record. Of the 900 law enforcement officers in Montana, and in California, that must seem silly because you have 900 law enforcement agents in one city. Oh, there's a whole list of felonies. It's damn scary. So the 30,000 concealed carry are outperforming the 900 law enforcement officers. Okay? And oddly enough, when I testified before the House Subcommittee to get our concealed carry, which in Montana is fairly new, I think we had it forever, we did not. Law enforcement testified against it. Here's exactly what they said. Pinocchio and his crazies, you know, we're going to have dead people in the street. We have concealed carries in Montana. There's a quote from the sheriff. Montanans will shoot each other over a parking spot in concealed carry. Now today, if it's passed, they get $50 of income that they charge the concealed carry person. Times 30,000 is a lot of money for the sheriff's department. And when you come in to get it, they make you think it was their idea without telling you they testified against it. That's a fact. Okay. You can donate to my campaign. I'm in debt on the last two campaigns. You need to identify the representatives who are doing what you agree with, and you need to support them financially. And I'm telling you, I have a whole team in Montana. And Dan Happel can certainly vouch for many of them. Some couldn't make it here today. And I envision a time when more people in office come here to speak. And I'd love to see you step up to the plate and run. Girls, I'd like to hand out my business card. There's enough for everybody. I'll commit to you, any one of you who want to run, that I'll be available to you to contact me at my home phone number or my email. And I'll commit to you, I don't care if you're in Canada, Africa, or California, that I'll help give you all the advice and I'll endorse it. The book I handed out is important for you to study because this book is available in each state. How many representatives who are already in office would step up to the plate and endorse each and every one of you? I don't know, but I commit to you to go find out. That endorsement could be a letter to the editor, could be an advertisement on the radio. Here we have media people. Fantastic. Could they help put a commercial together? Could they help put a website together and get these endorsements put together? You know, the endorsements from other candidates in office were very important to me because they were able to tell me some information about my opponents that I would have never known, didn't know anything. And the press hasn't exactly been my friend. In my next talk, I'm going to talk about some of those issues. And I'm going to show you where I was put on the front page of the paper as a rogue legislator and how they just simply left parts of the interview out, which completely changed what I was trying to explain. The press may not be your friend if you're a conservative. You need to be prepared for that. Sometimes I'm told that when the press asks you a question, you give them a 1 second answer and walk away because there's less they can handle. But what they do is they like to ask question after question after question, and then they can mix it and come up with anything, and then they'll say, you said it. We just didn't have to put it all down. But I'm going to show you examples. If I put together a good talk, you're going to have questions for me. If I did a really good job, someone would consider running. But I'm telling you, I'm in charge of recruiting. And it would be a shame if a lot of you didn't consider it. And you said it. We need to move now. I need you to commit now. I need you to go to work on your campaign now. You're all qualified. You're all qualified because you're here. And I'm talking to Mr. Shaw. I'm talking to Ed. You guys should run for president. At least a statewide office. By the way, Matthew Von Fortin became famous because he challenged one of your statewide attorney generals in court in New York. And that moved to Montana. And he's in charge of trying to run closed primaries. The opponent I passed out to you went door to door to Democrat homes and told them, if you get Kenosha, you're going to lose everything. But I'm a Republican and I vote with you guys 90% of the time. And he was able to get Democrats to cross over the line. That's how we won. I lost by 200 votes the first time. The next time, I won by a good landslide. But people apologized and said, you were right about what you said. It took me 4 years to put it together. That may happen. And if you lose, one thing I want you to prepare yourself for is if the press asks you who you run against. You answer that to yourself before you lose. And you thank your supporters. I want to thank my supporters who supported me. And if you decide you're going to run again, I start tomorrow. My supporters and I are going right back, building those relationships, and we're going to be back in 2 years. We're going to be back in 4 years. If you win, your message is the same. I want to thank my supporters. But the difference is we're going to introduce some legislation that's earth-shattering. The first anti-Agenda 21 bill in history of Montana, my freshman year. Screening for welfare recipients. 85% popular across the state of Montana, never been introduced. A freshman introduces it. Pro-gun bill. Wanted to leave the NRA, wanted to show people what was important, got killed. I got a bill from the Realtors Association, passed by the House and Senate, the governor signed it. And the NRA says that I could be the first radical conservative that got a bill signed by a Democrat governor as far back as they can look. And you know what's amazing? Nobody out there has a score sheet to score a representative on the bills they introduce. I'm looking to you, this group, to start doing that. Has anyone thought about it? This representative has introduced bills that have never been introduced before in the history of the state that fit what this group cares about. There's no scoring sheet to give me an A+. You guys have got to step up to the plate and start identifying these people in these states that have done that and nailing out, congratulations, this guy is doing it right. You've got to start scoring representatives based on the legislation they introduced, which is why I was invited here. But yet there's not a single article in any paper or scoring sheet to score a representative based on what he introduced. So I'm asking you to help change that. I went over my time, apologize, and I'm sure that you guys will have questions on it. Thank you.
Well, Randy, if I run for president and Michael runs for president, which one of us is
Vice president? Swap places, which is what I wanted Ronald Reagan. I wanted him to be vice president, and there's no law against that.
Okay, move along. Now it's time for a little Tea Party. Randall, here. I'm here. This is Mr. Tea Party himself. Great organization. I've done a couple of readings. He really knows how to prove those guys.
I am not a speaker. I'm not a speaker. I'm a general contractor in San Luis Obispo. Last 31 years. Before I start on my talk, here in San Luis Obispo, we have adopted the Green Code for building. Now, it's been all over the state, I think all over the country.
San Luis Obispo has the unique place that I think we have the most restrictive green code of any place in the state, in San Luis Obispo County. Now, taking away from what Dan Blackburn said, we're very engaged in San Luis Obispo County, and you're going to see that in a few minutes. I'm going to explain that to you. We have a local radio station down Del Tempo is here from KPRL. Good supporters of all conservative views. Cal Coast News, they do a great job of reporting the truth. We're very, very fortunate in this county. In San Luis County, they've adopted the next level of the Green Code. It used to be called the Title 24, and Title 24 used to have to meet, I think it was 24 different points. You had to get 24 points. Low energy windows, insulation, weather stripping, that type of thing. You get a point for every one. Now with the new Green Code, you have to hit 70 points. Let me tell you two things that are part of those 70 points, and both of these equal 1 point. You will get a point towards meeting your 70 points if you have a window in your front door. You know what that's for? So you can watch your neighbors and you can report any suspicious activity. 1 point. Another point, if you live within 300 feet of a transit bench, you get another point. So if you're lucky enough to buy a lot that has a transit bench, a bus bench, you'll get a point for that. I called our county official and I told him, I said, this is part of AB 32, which in this state was basically the greenhouse gas initiative. Very vague. I think it was 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs. It pretty much said you got to try and be green, and you got to try and cut down on greenhouse gases. These building departments went crazy, implementing all of these different codes. The Green Code came out. We had to adhere to all of these new regulations. Mind-boggling, unbelievable stuff that we have to put up with now as builders in California. And San Luis Obispo, it's just ridiculous what you have to go through to get a building permit. A building permit in this city, in Paso Robles, you guys ready? $55,000 a building permit. $55,000 before you put a shovel in the ground. Now, on top of that, you have to pay developer fees. Developer fees were implemented back in the 80s. I was on the school board at the time when they were implemented. They were implemented in the 80s for school construction. There were temporary tax development fees, temporary tax developer fees, and they were 50 cents a square foot, and to either go down or be abolished within 5 years. So what we were told as school board members. So let's get this in and get these schools built, and then we'll go from there. Right now in parts of this county, developer fees are $3.86 a square foot. So you got a 2,000 square foot house, you got what's that? Almost $8,000 worth of school fees. Put that on top of your $55,000 for a building permit, you're up to $64,000 before you can actually start construction. That is California, and California is broken so bad. Montana is heaven compared to California. This place is a mess. Okay, so what I decided, my wife and I decided this. We went to a seminar over in Fresno, and we heard this outstanding gentleman talk about Agenda 21. And that gentleman said, after I'm done talking, you are going to be amazed, you are going to be frightened, and you're going to be dumbfounded. And you probably won't know how to react to this. He said, that's going to last for about 3 or 4 days. After that time, you're going to get pissed off. You're going to get mad. That man was Michael Shaw. You look at him, about 4 years or 5 years ago in Fresno, do a presentation. We went from Fresno to Paso Robles, where we live. Didn't say a word. We couldn't believe what we had heard about what our future was. Then we got engaged and we got this Just a little bit of background, my wife Mary and I have been married for 42 years, got 4 great grown boys, 4 grandchildren, 2 live here locally, 2 are in Austin, Texas. We've got a great life, still got a great company, even with all the regulations. But we decided we had to do something, we had to get engaged. So we attended a Tea Party meeting, October 2010, and it was a forming meeting. We didn't have a Tea Party here in San Luis Obispo County, in the North County. There was one in South County, but they didn't do a whole lot. So we started the North County Tea Party up here in northern San Luis Obispo County. That was October of 2010. Since then, we've gone through some changes. We've had people on the board that have come and gone. I think Mary and I are still the only 2 original from the first group. Very, very great, engaged people, wonderful people. We get speakers. Our meetings are the first Monday of every month. This last meeting, we had our sheriff, Ian Parkinson, our county sheriff, who is for concealed carry. He is for gun rights. And he actually said, people need to realize mental illness kills people, not guns. And he believes that. And this is our sheriff of the county. So we're very, very blessed for that. So we started with the Tea Party. Mary and I started there, and our meetings, we get 50 to 80 people at every meeting once a month. We're very, very engaged. The Tea Party is. So we have rallies, not so many rallies anymore. We didn't begin so many anymore. We have different functions that we have. We have, we'll go and to the elections together and watch the elections, or we'll go to the debates, watch the debates together. So we're engaged there. So about, I think 3 years ago, we heard, and you were saying, that there was the Central Committee of San Luis Obispo, Republican Central Committee. And we thought, wow, I wonder what those guys do. So we went and we sat in a meeting. It was in San Luis, and it was pretty much an eat and work club. I don't know if you guys know what that's called, what that is, but it's a bunch of old people that sit around, they go through an agenda, they say yay, 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 and they go home. They adjourn and they go home. And we thought, this is the Republican Party in San Luis Obispo. This, in our county, these people are running it. So the Tea Party and myself decided, let's run. So we ran for the Central Committee. Unopposed. No one runs for those things because they're a ho-hum opposition. And any of you out there, your Central Committees in your county, I guarantee there aren't people clamoring to get on those Central Committees. So that's a good place to start. I started going to meetings. The other couple of people in the Tea Party started going to meetings. We changed the face of our Central Committee. It went from 40-minute meetings to now our standard meeting is about 2.5 hours. And we talk about gun rights, we talk about abortion, we talk about the gay agenda, the gay and lesbian agenda. Some people are for it, but we have debates, we talk about it, we get these things out in the open. So after I think it was the first or second month, I asked the Central Committee chair, I said, what would it take to become a delegate? And he said, well, we have positions open. You want to be a delegate? What a delegate does, a delegate goes from your county to the state party, to the state convention, and they represent you at the state. So in our state, it's the CRP, California Republican Party. So I said, I want to be a delegate. So he said, okay, you're a delegate. So he made me a delegate. I want to the Tea Party, you're a delegate. So we went to the convention. I think our first one was like in January, February of 2018, I think it was. Yeah. So we went to this convention, here again, Eat Bird Club. People were there to socialize. People were there to see their old friends. People were there to have drinks, just have a good time. And it was a weekend. It started on Friday, went Saturday and Sunday. So we started talking to other people there, and they said, wow, we're like you. We're conservative. We don't want to just come here and socialize. We want to make a difference. We want to talk about the Second Amendment. We want to talk about things that are important to the Republican Party. Now, let's remember, the Republican Party is supposed to be conservative. We're supposed to be the side of politics that believes in traditional marriage, that believes in personal property rights, believes in gun rights. That's supposed to be the Republican Party. At least that's what we thought. So when this meeting was over, the third day, I walked up to one of the executive board and I said, what would it take to have the Tea Party join the California Republican Party? And he rolled his eyes, and then he said, actually, not a whole lot. He said, you would basically just petition the chair, tell what you want to do, and as long as there was no objections, you could do it. Guess what? Next meeting, well, I won't say that. I got the okay from the chair. We had a meeting in LA in April, I believe it was. So that meeting, the first one was February. So in April, we had a meeting in LA of all the Tea Party leaders throughout the state. I had people from the Central Valley, I had people from San Diego, we had people from Riverside, we had people all over that came to this meeting. There were about 12 or 15 of us in LA. And I said, here's what I want to do. You guys want to do this? I went, yeah, let's do this. So we formed what's called Tea Party California Caucus, TPCC. And our mission is to caucus with the California Republican Party. We've been to 5 conventions, 5. We're in their face. They don't like us. They tolerate us, but we're there. We have the best meetings. We have the most lively debates. We have the best workshops of any of the conventions. We pay our own way. You know, you have to pay for the room. You have to pay the fee to have the meeting and that type of thing. And we do that. We have brought speakers to the California Republican Party. We've brought Sheriff Mack, Bill Wiggle. We've brought Reverend Jesse Peterson from LA. We've brought, look at my list on we brought Steve Frank, who's the editor of Political News and Views in California. Debbie Bacciagalumbi has been one of our speakers, and she's attended our meetings. We have brought, trying to think of everybody else. We've had some unbelievable meetings and unbelievable presentations, and we have blown the socks off the California Republican Party. Blown them off. They realize they need us. We are the activists. We are the activists. We are the ones that make the phone calls. We'll walk the precincts. We are the ones that get the word out and will work hard for our candidates. So they know they need us. It's to the point now that Mary and I, my wife and I, I'm the chair, I'm the president of the Tea Party California Caucus. We sit at the head table now. We've met Mike Huckabee. We've sat with him and spoken with him. We've met Rand Paul. We've met, who's the one from New Jersey? Chris Christie. Great guy. Chris Christie's awesome. I wouldn't want him as president, but he's a great guy. Awesome. So they tolerate us within the California Republican Party. They know it. They play games with us all the time. We'll bring forth resolutions. There won't be a quorum. They don't have enough people for a quorum. We ran a representative ticket on the executive board 3 days before the election. I don't know if any of you know the name Charles Munger. Charles Munger runs the California Republican Party. Charles Munger basically paid money and brought all of these people in, representatives, paid their back dues, had them vote against us so we would lose. Okay. Yeah. Oh.
Yes, it was Sam Blakely, who was the representative, and he was voted in because he would be the last vote that would make the difference if the Democrats would totally control it and the Republicans would have no say. I walked for his precinct in Simpson to another county, and a lot of other people did too. What he did, after they redid the districts, he resigned. He went to work for Charles Munger, together with Firestone and the Rockefeller Network.
There you go. Charles Munger is a multimillionaire that his father is Charles Munger Sr., who is the main, what am I going to call him? Sergeant at Arms, or the main advisor for Warren Buffett. It's money and power. The Republican Party, just like the Democrat Party, is power and money in this state and across the country. It's the same thing. So we're seeing that. Okay. So, what I'm telling you here is we still run a $3 million a year business. I am involved heavily in the local Tea Party group. We go to meetings once a month. We have a meeting once a week, just by a webinar. We don't go and meet. We get on a webinar and we have a call. I'm the chair of the Tea Party California Caucus, so we have a state group that actually is in the face of the Republican Party, and I'm on my local central committee. We have a coup going on with the central committee right now in this county where our chair is resigning to run for a supervisorial chair, and we're trying to get our Tea Party or our conservative person in that chair seat. And it's a fight. We're having a fight there. So this county is very engaged. We have Republican women's groups. We have, we have a group that goes to the city council meetings in both Atascadero and Paso Robles. We have another group that goes to all of the county supervisor meetings, water boards. We have people engaged, and the Tea Party is pretty much a clearinghouse. We're not a party. You know, all we are is a bunch of people that believe the same way. So the Tea Party is a clearinghouse, and all the other people go from there and fan out. And they'll come to our meetings. And I didn't call themselves Tea Partiers, but they are conservatives like we are, and they make a difference in this county. Let me think what I can say for closing. Closing is, it's not as hard as it seems. You just have to stand up and make a difference. I am not running for a elected position, except for the Central Committee chair, which I won because no one else ran. But you can also be a coordinator. Mary and I ran a city council race in 2012 for a local guy for the position in Paso Robles city councilman, a Tea Partier. We lost by 14 votes. We came back in 2014, we won by 41 votes. So you can make a difference in the city councils, in the services district CSPs, in the advisory boards. Get people that are like-minded to run and to go for them, support them, and exactly what everybody's been saying here, it'll make a difference. It'll make a huge difference. Thank you.
You've seen Dan in operation quite a bit today, but I have to say that this meeting would not have been anywhere near as effective, not even half as effective as it has been. It hadn't been for Dan to have volunteering, his effort, his contacts, his energy, his follow-up. He calls everybody and he calls me and says, "Is that your part yet?" And I said, "What part?" So he's the guy that really responds.
a screen from Michael Shaw. Michael and I are good friends. We've worked together with Agenda 21 for years in Montana in the Northwest. And in any case, I start this because I want to show people where we're at as a country and why we need to do what we're going to do. This is a philosophy of rights, and it shows the difference between individual rights under our Declaration of Independence and under the UN Declaration of Human Rights. There's quite a difference there. Yeah, fine. There we go. Look at here. There. Okay. Some quotes, first of all, that I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with. I'm going to go through them very quickly because I want to get this through so you folks can break for what you need to do. Government's not reason, it's not eloquent. It is force, and like fire, it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. That's George Washington. Another quote by Daniel Webster: good intentions will always be completed for every assumption of power. It is hardly too strong to say that the Constitution was made to guard the people against the dangers of good intentions. There are those men in all ages who mean to govern well, but they do need to govern. They promise to be good masters, but they mean to be masters. And this is a quote by James Paul Warburg, the son of Paul Warburg. Is mentioned in Mr. Griffin's book, Creature from Jekyll Island. Paul Warburg, the gentleman that we refer to, was one of the architects of the reserve system. This is a quote in 1950 before the U.S. Senate. We shall have world government, whether or not we like it. The only question is whether world government will be achieved by conquest or consent. And the second one under that is Rowan Gaither, the president of the Foundation in 1954. He was a CFR member, and at one time he was the president, the chairman of the CFR. We operate here under directives that emanate from the White House. The substance of the directives under which we operate is that we shall use the grant power to alter life in the United States so that we can be comfortably merged with the Soviet Union. You wonder where all these federal grants come from that are used in every single state to buy off our state legislators and our county commissioners. This is where these grants come from. This is a report on global governance. It's 2010, and it was presented to President Obama. And you'll note in here that the people that sponsored this are the G20, the International Monetary Fund, and the UN. And it basically says we've got to hurry because people are starting to wake up. And we won't have global governance by 2025 unless we start implementing policies now. And this is a quote by Mikhail Gorbachev. It's quoted in the special report, While This Project's War on Mankind. The threat of environmental crisis will be the international disaster that will unlock the new world order. And this is Christiana Figueres, who is the executive director of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change at the Doha Qatar meeting in 2012. It must be understood that what is occurring here, not just in Doha, but in the whole climate change process, is a complete transformation of the economic structure of the world. Decentralized, say, Soviet values, transformation that is going to make the life of everyone on the planet very difficult. And this is a book by David Rockefeller from his memoirs. Some people believe we're part of the secret cabal working with the best interests of the United States. characterizing my family and me as internationalists, and conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, one world, if you will. If that's the short, I stand guilty and I'm proud of it. And this is a picture of students that are marching, who were part of the march to promote Occupy Wall Street. Capitalism is organized crime, and various signs like that. Our kids are being indoctrinated in our universities to become Soviets. And this is Arab Spring, and it shows St. Cameron's sickle. And understand one thing: the Sovietism of the Middle East and the Arab Spring are extremely closely tied together as allies against us. This is the last quote I got. We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended their meetings and respected their promise of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march toward world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world banker is surely preferable to the national auto-determined practice in past centuries. That national auto-determination is our Constitution, Bill of Rights, and our Declaration of Independence. And that was just before the climate change conference in Rio de Janeiro, Agenda 21. Okay, so we have to understand one thing. We are in a life or death battle for the soul of our nation. We have no choice. If we don't fight the battle, no one will. We're the last line. We need to be the people that have the guts and the stamina to stand up and do what's necessary. Understand this. We have at best, and I say 10 to 15 because it's hard to estimate how much time we have. In truth, I don't think it's anywhere close to that much time. But we have at best 15 to 20 years to restore our way of life. We should be willing to give our lives to save our nation for future generations. And I go back to that thin gray line. I got that from the New York Police Department. The thin blue line, well, where's the thin gray line? Read, learn, and study. Then teach and share with others. You never know when you might plant the seed of liberty with the next George Washington. He may be in this room. Network, network, network. You cannot network enough. Everything you do and everyone that you associate with, you will expand your sphere of influence if you do a good job. Seek the support of high-profile people that understand our dilemma and share your beliefs. Form coalitions with real leaders. You can imagine the amount of people that I have dealt with over the last 10 years, and some of them are the highest-ranking military people in our country. They get it. They understand what we're talking about. They understand that we have a real problem. We may not agree on every single thing, but our problem is, as conservatives, we can agree on 80% of the philosophical or the political items and disagree on 20, and we're standing busy fighting over the 20% instead of trying to make that 80% work. Our opposition, the liberals, can agree on 20% and disagree on 80, and they get it done because they work together on the 20%. We've been going through this process for 100 years. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's not going to happen at all unless we participate. Be bold in meeting with people and be sincere, reasonable, and rational in your speech. You know, when they attack you and call you a wacko, know your fancy figures, and that way it's irrefutable. And read, learn, and understand. Do the study that's necessary to be very smart about what you say. Don't allow your ego to take over. This battle is not about you, it's about our nation. We can't let this become personal. The lesson we learned from the Trump phenomenon, and I'm not a big Trump fan, but I'm telling you that there is a phenomenon here. People are sick of the Marxist dogmas, and they are seeking political correctness. They thirst for truth and are ready to listen. This is the first time in my lifetime I can say that and really, really believe that. I mean, we have seen a sea change in attitudes in the last 2 years. Use the generation gap to your advantage. There's a lot of great hair in this room. Kids don't listen to their parents, but they'll listen to their grandparents. I got grandkids. Their folks don't know anything. But I'm a grandpa, and they trust me. And I've had my grandkids do my Agenda 21 programs. They sat right through the programs. These kids are thirsty for someone to lead them into a future that they know they will have a good future, not a bad future. Young people are there to listen and learn and earn the respect that they will follow. That's what you need to do. Use technology and the internet to your advantage. It's essentially the greatest tool of advanced liberty in the history of the world. That was something that was brought up by Dan. We haven't even begun to tap the technology that we have access to. The internet is a phenomenal tool, and we can win this war if we just start to use it in the right ways. What makes us different than our opponents, and we had a great discussion about this, that Debbie Doss, Lucy, and I had a good discussion last night, so did Mike Shaw. What makes us different than our opponents? We believe in absolute truth, and they believe in moral relativism. They can change the circumstances and the laws for whatever circumstance works for them to be politically speaking. We believe in absolute truth. That is a huge difference because we've got God on our side. They don't. Liars don't do well when it comes to standing up before their maker. Absolute truth requires commitment and a passion for liberty that people can see and feel. One of the great things that I take pride in is that people don't ever question or don't ever doubt where I'm coming from. And it's because I have a passion in my heart and a burning fire in my belly to make sure that we leave a country worth leaving to our kids and our grandkids. You will always get back people in ways that may not be readily apparent for years, but will nevertheless change the political climate in your community forever. All you have to do is convince one person that you've got the right idea. They will convince another one person. This thing will grow exponentially. We are winning the war, whether we realize it or not. We just started very, very, very late. We need to stay in this battle. The youth will save our nation if we give them the tools and the guidance to be leaders. We need to help them, and the only ones that can do that are the people that are here, and people like us that stand for liberty and understand what our founding fathers understood about freedom and natural law. So what can I do? Well, you can recruit and elect public officials that understand their duty to serve and to protect the citizens they represent. It isn't just a matter of doing what you think the citizens want. You've also got to stand by what our constitutional system is designed to do, and that's to support the Constitution and freedom. Under the Constitution, local and state government should be the most representative of individual citizens. You guys can make a huge difference if you get involved with local government. The reason that we've lost many of our rights is because we've sat on our backside and allowed everyone else to do the heavy lifting. Bill talked about that earlier today. He who shows up wins. Start showing up. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. It's just that simple. Read, learn, educate yourself, and become teachers of others. Knowledge is power, and ignorance is not bliss. It's just ignorance. And if it's allowed to go on long enough, it becomes stupidity. Don't be stupid. Never, never, never give up. Accept the responsibility, and I'm doing a plug for Bill's book here. You may be the last best hope to restore a nation, and I really recommend you buy this book. Go to Amazon and buy this book. You will not regret it, and it makes a wonderful Christmas gift. It's an easy read. Anybody can read it in a matter of a few hours. Join groups that you may not always support, but know that you may also be able to change them from within. I'm a member of so many different groups, including the Southwest Regional BLM RAC group, Regional Resource Advisory Council for the BLM in Montana. And I've raised speakers to that thing that wouldn't be there in any way unless I was there. So you can do it. You can make a difference. And this is, I'm going to wrap it up here. Samuel Adams, 1776. If you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask on your counsels for your arms. Crouch down and lift the hands with feet. May your chains rest lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our country. That's a challenge. And I know there's a few folks in here that aren't Ronald Reagan fans, but he did some great quotes, and this is one of them. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We will preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we will sentence them to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness. Remember, when the Roman Empire fell, we had the Dark Ages, and it was not something that advanced our culture civilization. If we fail, at least let our children and our children's children say of us that we justified our brief moment here. We did all that could be done, and we need to do that. And this is great. Edward Hale, he was the scribe, I want to say, secretary for the Senate in 1903. He was Nathan Hale's great-great-grandson. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, I should do, and with the help of God, I will do. What a wonderful quote. And this is another one that's been variously attributed to John Adams and Benjamin Franklin. I can't track it down. Those who fail to participate in representative government are destined to be led by their inferiors. And isn't that the truth? Okay, thank you. And that's my presentation. And after this, since you put in I'd like to propose to you we take about 15 to 20 minutes and actually start the election process and then complete it at a bigger time. If we can do that, and we can utilize the 5 minutes of this type 15 onto it and we make a big step. Is anybody opposed to an idea to get someplace right away? Okay, well, let's do it then. Here's what I'd like to do. Well, first of all, I have a note here. When we break for dinner, the staff here would like to make sure that you put all of your papers and things under your chair so they can have an email set up and and also leave your name tag at your place so they can spot what kind of tools you're going to use.
I'd like to explain, before we get to this election process, what that is really about. Those of you who are here for the first time, you're probably wondering, well, what is a delegate? And what is a council member? What is that all about? I think just a moment to explain that. It's pretty quite simple. It is similar in many ways to all organizations that we do have to have leadership. And you may have heard us say that this is a leaderless organization. And others would say, well, no, it's a leader-full organization. But what that really means is that all organizations have leaders. I mean, that's just a natural language. But the question is, the leadership isn't applied with regulation, compulsion, directives, hierarchy, all that sort of thing. The old pyramid format where you have a managing level at the top, like in the military or corporations, or is it more like a voluntary association where you do have leaders, but if you don't like the leader, you can just walk out and you have as long as it pleases you to do that. It's in that category. We do have our leaders. The leaders don't really tell you what to do. They're there just to make sure that everybody follows the rules. Well, how can you have rules if you're not being told what to do? Our rules are very simple. There are some. And it's contained in two documents, which are easily find on the website. One is the Creed of Freedom. That's the rule. Because that explains what all of our members believe in. This is the gyroscope that holds us all together and keeps us all pointed in the same direction. In that Creed of Freedom, you'll find in highly condensed form the argument in favor of individualism as opposed to collectivism. And it's broken down into 7 different categories, and it's all, I know enough of you folks now that you'll love it. You'll find nothing objectionable to it. It is, however, mandatory to the extent you must endorse it, because that's what we're here for. That's what binds us all together. It's not like a political party where every year we have, it's up for grabs to see how many votes you can get in support of a particular issue. These are principles. These are principles, and they're not to be changed. If you ever feel that you don't like these principles, well, then find another organization that has something that's closer to your heart. And so that's the only rule, really, is that everybody has to endorse in the sense that they feel comfortable with and support the creed of freedom. And the other is there's a code of conduct. There's certain things that we don't want people to do. And that, you've read all of those on there. If you have any questions about them, we don't want any bigotry here. We don't want any agendas that are contrary to the principles of individualism. We don't want anybody using the organization for commercial purposes to promote multi-level marketing product. All of the things that sometimes seep into other organizations. That sort of thing. We don't have a rule in there about how you deal with the question of pledging allegiance to the flag. It's a very tricky one. I just mentioned it comes to mind. Americans love America. Everybody loves their country. And there's a confusion between loving your country and loving your leaders. And that's what it gets you, because they like to think that if you complain or criticize your leaders, then you are criticizing your country. And you're not supposed to say, wait, this leader is not my country. This country is my people, the principles, my heritage, everything that I inherited that makes my country great. It's not a leader that got elected or appointed or conference. And so the question comes often is you're at the meeting and somebody's disrespect like this. And if you are asked to stand and give a pledge of allegiance to the flag, some people find that objectionable because I don't pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to my country. I pledge allegiance to the principle. And then, wait a minute, it's all the same. We mean when we say the flag. We mean the flag and the republic for which it stands, right? Okay, we're back to principles again. So we get a big argument. And so we have to move on that. And that is that, hey, if you're in a group of people and they play the national anthem and they put the flag there, and you refuse to stand, the people around they look at you, they don't understand what you're thinking. They don't know that you're really that you and they believe the same thing. They don't know that you're making a distinction between the leaders in the country. And so you alienate the very people you're trying to reach with the message. So our suggestion in the code of ethics is that in a public place, you just follow your conscience. And we recommend that you stand with everybody else to show your solidarity with them, not necessarily with your leaders. Stuff like that. I'm sure you'll approve of all of that. But those are the only rules. And we'll show you the all. So other than that, our members can do whatever they want to do. And boy, do they ever. And it's sometimes a challenge, but it's also the strongest point for people. Because most organizations, when everybody's going to watch that, you're going to do it exactly this way, you're going to do it on Thursday, and this is what the brochure is going to look like, and this is the approved wording, and you've got a manager that comes around and checks your paperwork every Friday, all of this stuff that corporations and some volunteer organizations get into. So that's the difference of leadership. Yes, it's leadership. There was a book written on this called The Starfish and the Spider. And it was a book about the differences between what I call pyramidal organizations, where you have the leadership at the top pyramid, and middle management, and then all the rank and file at the bottom, versus a hologram. Hologram, you have a whole image that's spread throughout all areas of the metal and the glass or plastic plate that contains the little scribes and the circle of digital information. In a sense, something digital, but it acts like it's digital. And I know you've all heard this, but some people may not. If you take a holographic plate and you pass the light through it, it looks like it's an image sort of dancing in space. So focused away, it's a 3D holographic image. But what many people don't realize is if you take that plate and you take the scissors, which is plastic, you cut it in half, and you hold it like this, now you've got two images, and they're complete. Each image is totally complete. Smaller, but complete. You've got those in half, now you've got four images. All the same image, because the information, the data of the image is distributed universally throughout every molecule, I guess, atom, or whatever it is, throughout the holographic plate. And that's the model that we have. But particularly because we don't want to be dependent upon all-powerful leaders. All-powerful leaders are usually corrupt. And in fact, that's one of the universal qualities of a collectivist system. They all have all-powerful leaders, like Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, Lenin, or something like that. Maybe closer to home. But that's because there's a certain element of human nature that people like leaders. And we have a herd instinct. We travel in herds. Who's our leader today? So we have to work against that. And it's certainly not the kind of organization that we forces. We don't have this all-powerful leader. So it's for ideological reasons, because that's contrary to our principles of being, with the sovereignty being in the individual and the total power coming from the individual up to the top, versus the pyramidal organization where the power is at the top and everybody down below follows directly. So I know this is over, but I'm trying to explain it. Now, what does this got to do with the elections? But it has to do with the elections because we're selecting members of our leadership council. I'm just trying to explain that these guys are not giving orders, but their argument is guarding the principles of freedom. And guarding to make sure that the things we're talking about in concrete freedom and in the code of conduct, these remain unchanged, untouched, unaltered, uncorrupted. It's their job to protect and defend the very principles upon which the organization exists. That's it. And everything else is totally up to the membership. And the idea of having people with different objectives, with different styles and different interests. Some are arts and crafts people, some are very serious people, some are engineers. And they all have different ways of approaching problems, and you wouldn't want to try and get all the same projects and tell them what even the project is. There's beauty in having distributed membership across a broad range of styles and personalities. So we have different religious groups, different ethnic groups, different nationalities, races, different economic status, students, management, working class, it makes no difference. It's all the same as long as all of these people follow creative freedom and do not violate the code of conduct. This multiplicity of approach. Some people say, well, this is terrible. Why don't we get all these organizations together? We're all so splintered. These people want to do this and they want to do that. Let's all get together. And that's the old problem. Everybody wants to get all together. And I say, no, they go apart. As long as they're all marching in the same direction, they're going to take different paths to it. And it was mentioned earlier that I made the analogy to our organization being similar in many ways to Council on Foreign Relations. I mean, these guys are in all these different groups. They're everywhere. Did you ever see the Council on Foreign Relations, a group of them out there with a placard saying, yeah, you do this and do that? Can you imagine that? No. But those people are in all these other organizations, each one with their own agenda, their own style. They're all in their own groups. And that's the beauty, that's part of their power. And we've been looking at this for years, decades, looking at that strategy and not realizing that that's what we should be doing. So, back again, council is not to tell everybody what to do, it's just to make sure that the principles remain unchanged. And there are certain, of course, we have to have communications between the membership, the rank and file, and the council. Well, one model would be send them an email. When they come to meet that couple million people in our organization, that's a little heavy on email. So we have to have a channel of communications between the membership and the leadership, and that's the delegate. Okay, that's the difference. The delegate has a very important but a very simple job, and that's to communicate between the membership at large. Membership at large selects the delegates select the council, and the delegates monitor the council. That's one of their jobs. They have to watch that council with an eye of a hawk. Make sure these guys and gals don't step out of line, don't get all big-headed, Leaders have a tendency to do that when organizations get big. They've got social power or prestige or money, coming through the coffers. It's very, very dangerous. So our motto is, we got to look out for our leaders, just like we have to be suspicious of our political leaders. We should be suspicious of their leaders in this organization as well. That's the role of the council. I mean, the role of the delegates have to watch the council. Well, the council comes from members of the delegates. So that's what we want to do. We have 12 members of the council now, and we expect that in the next 2 months, we will have 2 vacancies. And so my goal tonight is I hereby appoint all of you who are here and who want to be a delegate. I'm violating the bylaws right now because we haven't yet voted on the bylaws. They're not even in yet. So we can do whatever we want. This is probably the last time we get that way. But since we're still young and we can't go out and solicit all the members around the world, we do have 65 countries now. I hereby delegate all you good people who want to participate in this. All you have to do is just say, yeah, I'd like to participate in this. And it's no obligation except to use your best judgment. We had sort of a reason for having everybody introduce themselves. So I wanted you all to meet each other, at least to that extent, and come to some opinion about, oh, this person is really, they got it together. That's good. Not just what their speaking style, but what they say. They've got to be hard, something like that. And or that guy was on, so I mean, it's kind of wild. Okay, we put up with it, but I'll be over here and let it go. So I wanted you all to get to see and meet each other. And what I would like to do for those of you who are willing to participate in this, to well, I was going to turn the card over, but I said, leave your name tags on, And if you do not want to participate, just take the name tag off for the next ballot. So you not explain why you don't want to participate or cannot participate. And then for the next 15 minutes, I'd like everybody to sort of go around and just mingle again and say, oh yeah, and pick up the vote on 5 people. You'll each have a ballot, which is we passed out. I would like you to vote for 5 people that you think would make good members of the leadership council. And that will collect your ballots. You don't have to sign it or anything. And just put a check marks at the 5 names. Okay. And then later on, we'll just add them all up and we'll just see who gets the most check marks. And the ones at the top will get the 5 most, will go on to our list. We'll withdraw from that list as the vacancies occur. I would say that this would require your willingness and ability to attend at least the annual meeting like this. So that is an obligation. But we don't really, not that you have to, we're not going to go and send Leo out. But if that's impossible within that community. So that's the only thing. Are there any questions on the things that I covered? Yes, John.
Would it be valuable for the council members that are already chosen to be identified?
Oh, yes, certainly. With all of the council members, please stand. In fact, when you come to the front of the room, I think that would be a lot. I want you to see the people that you be associated with. Thank you, John. Yeah, don't vote for these people because they're already on the council. Yeah, we have.
We already have 2 brilliant candidates.
Which one? Okay. So anyway, this is I'm not giving them a hand. So don't vote for these people. They're all already in. And so thank you very much.
Those are names. Those are names.
Edward is also our speaker of the conference. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Well, just feel free to make a comment next time. Very good. Everyone's got a ballot?
I'll be the behind the scenes skill guy. I've actually been kind of smarter than I would get. And I have a lot of ideas. Well, I just can't. I just can't. Yeah. I just don't want to. I don't want to promise. And, I want to help. But anyway, but I don't need help. I don't need I'm working on some stuff right now.
I got I don't I got it. I honestly am starting to think that. How many we didn't send it out to anyone. Yeah, it's questionable. The audio on this thing is, I didn't get it. Yeah, I kind of jacked it.